A new challenger has joined the budget boards. It was nearly the same time last year that I did a budget board called the CX60, which was when my channel actually blew up from a budget keyboard. I also introduced the TM680, which was a huge banger and created a whole craze about knobs. In a challenge against the other keyboard YouTubers, I used the MW65, which was also another banger keyboard. All these videos did extremely well because they are really good budget keyboards, and today I have something new to introduce to you guys. It is called the CIY Guest 67. I'm actually a little bit late to this. I saw a few other YouTubers already review this board. From the same manufacturers as the CIY Tester 68, my $40 budget custom keyboard. This was first released on Taobao for $44 US. However, they had a shipping time of 1.5 months, which is why this took so long. But subsequently, I saw that this was actually released on Drop as well for $60 US. Honestly, still a pretty fair price. So let's get started with an unboxing. Can't really expect too much from packaging considering it is a budget keyboard. They just use good old cardboard, but inside is filled with goodies. First up are these very neatly packed stabilizers, screw-in stabilizers, included in the kit. I won't talk too much about stabilizers because audience retention on stabilizers are bad, so I'll just loop them and throw them in. And on to our next layer, we have our braided cord cable. This is actually really nice. It is not made out of rubber, it is actually braided and feels really nice to the touch. And this is the Guest 67. To very simply put it, it is a contestant against the KBD 67 Lite. With an ABS injection molded case, polycarbonate plate and gasket style mounting, it has very similar features to the KBD 67 Lite. On our last layer, we have our basic accessories and your PCB. So when you first receive your case, it will not be held together by screws yet. They have the screws packed separately so that you can start building it or modding it to your own preferences. It is extremely simple to take apart. All you have to do is remove that top cover and everything else just comes apart. The case itself feels really flimsy. It feels really cheap, like super cheap. Compared to KBD fans, this is a 5 out of 10 and KBD fans is doing a 10 out of 10 job on the ABS case. Aside from the rectangular bump-ons, they actually provide adjustable feet for those who prefer typing on a steeper angle. As for our plate, it is a very normal polycarbonate plate, nothing too special about it. Aside from our polycarbonate plate, they provide a silicone dampener and a sheet of PE foam. The whole keyboard is gasket mounted with pour-on gaskets, which I 100% prefer over silicone gaskets. Moving on to our PCB, I think this is the biggest downside to this whole keyboard kit. It is a 5-pin north-facing hot swappable PCB. Of course, it supports screw-in stabilizers, but the biggest downside is the north-facing PCB. But let's not judge everything too quickly and just build in this kit. For our first configuration, I'll leave everything in it. No changes, no mods, everything they provide I will use. For our switches, I'll be using the infamous Tiger King switches by TTC. This switch actually got me 1 million views. I'll be leaving them unlooped, also known as stock, into the keyboard kit. For our keycaps, I'll be using this set called Neon from PBT Fans, also made from KBD Fans. I literally couldn't not use it. It's actually a match made in heaven. They are both translucent smoky black. It's perfect. Overall, this build is actually really simple. I think any beginner would be able to do this. So let's take a listen. In this configuration, it is actually really clacky, some clean clacks, but the million-dollar question, can it thock? Let's test out if this keyboard can clack and thock at the same time. Step 1, I will be removing the silicone dampener. As for my last two mods, the foam mod. Unfortunately, I do not have any foam with me, so I just grabbed some leftovers and try to make it work. And my favorite mod of all, the tape mod, 3 layers of masking tape. Done deal. If you want to know how to build a thocky keyboard, check out this video up there. As for the PE foam, I'm probably just gonna leave it in. I don't think it makes a huge difference. It's really thin and the material doesn't really feel like PE. It doesn't feel like silicone or ever either, so I'm just gonna leave it in. For our switches, I'll be using the Gateron All Kings, looped with Krytox Dual 5 Grade 0. If you want a more in-depth review, I have done them on my last ever odd switch. Very sad. And now for the biggest downside that I mentioned earlier, the north-facing PCB. There is actually interference in my spacebar when I was doing that typing test, which I don't really like. So in order to avoid that, I'll be using some different profile keycaps. I'll be using the Echo ASA profile keycaps in this Samurai Japanese Legends. Very cool, I really like it. For those of you who are new here, the north-facing PCB with cherry profile keycaps might run you into some cherry profile interference. To explain it as simply as possible, it just doesn't feel good or sound good. So you're gonna wanna use different profile keycaps or find a switch with a longer pole. So yeah, I'll be using these ASA profile keycaps and they do help accentuate that thock as well. So let's take a listen. That's pretty good. I actually really like this sound signature. It's not too thocky, it's not clacky, it's like marbly. I don't want to say too many words. It just sounds good. Overall, it was actually a really fun kit to play around with for $44 or if you're getting it on drop $60. I think this is much more worth it than a GK61. And I really miss doing this, all the cheap Taobao budget builds. I actually stopped doing Taobao budget builds because so many of you have been commenting, why Taobao? We can't even access Taobao. What about the US audience can't access Taobao? But this is not only available on Taobao, it is available on drop as well. For $60, I give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. For $44, I give it a 9 out of 10. There are only two main flaws that I can really point out. Number one is the long shipping time and number two is the north-facing PCB. But both of them can be fixed by some way or another, so it's pretty good. It's a good beginning kit for those who don't want to spend more than $100. For like $60, go grab yourself some Gateron Milky Yellows or some like OEM profile die-subbed keycaps for $20. $100 budget build, there you go. So if you guys are interested in this board, I'll be linking the drop link and the Taobao link for my Asia people out there, so go check it out. And we have come to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and click subscribe if you're new here. Subscription is free and you get notified about when I post and stuff, you know. Helps the channel, helps the algorithm. Comment your thoughts on this keyboard down below. And to all the Taobao haters out there, I'm back baby. I'm gonna review more budget boards than ever, so screw you guys. Peace.